Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something that, well, quite literally supports absolutely everything you do. We're talking about the human skeletal system. Now, our goal today is to demystify this incredible biological framework. We're going to take a really clean, step-by-step, top-down architectural tour of your own body and break down the complex engineering that keeps you standing, moving, and, just living. So let's jump right in.
206. In a fully grown adult human body, this is exactly how many bones you have. It sounds like a lot to keep track of, right? But by anchoring our journey in this specific, totally manageable number, we can start to see the body not as some confusing jumble of parts, but as a perfectly categorized, highly organized inventory. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know exactly how those 206 distinct pieces are distributed.
And why does this matter? What we usually think of skeletons as these rigid, static, maybe slightly spooky things. But think about an internal framework in motion. Skeletons aren't just stiff cages. The reason we can bend, groove, and move so miraculously is precisely because our framework is divided into those 206 distinct articulating parts. It's honestly an engineering marvel of hard structures creating beautifully fluid motion. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll tackle the body one distinct mechanical zone at a time. First, your body's internal framework. Second, cartilage, ligaments, and joints. Third, the axial skeleton system. Fourth, the pectoral girdle and arms. And finally, number 5, the pelvic girdle and legs. Let's start right at the foundation. Section 1, your body's internal framework.
Before we start tallying up specific bones, we really need to understand the fundamental materials that build them. Here's the most crucial takeaway. Bones are not dry, dead sticks. They're actually dynamic, living organs packed with active blood vessels and nerves. They're primarily made of a supportive protein called collagen, which gives them their base structure, and then heavy deposits of calcium are what make them hard and rigid. Ultimately, these rigid living organs serve a huge mechanical purpose. They give your moving skeletal muscles something to grab onto. Whenever you flex a muscle, it's pulling directly against these hard bones to create movement.
Think of this complete skeletal map as our home base. Every single part of this structure represents a cluster of those living organs working together in perfect harmony. We're going to break down how these individual, calcium-hardened parts interlock to form the overarching architecture of you. Moving right along to Section 2, cartilage, ligaments, and joints. Before we start naming the bones themselves, let's isolate the vital connective tissues that hold the whole operation together. First up, cartilage. You can think of this as the body's ultimate shock absorber and non-stick coating all rolled into one. It's a dense, super strong, but flexible connective tissue made of tough protein fibers. Most importantly, it's incredibly smooth. Cartilage caps the ends of your bones at the joints so that they can glide over each other. Without it, your hard bones would just grind painfully together every single time you moved. No thank you. Now, cleanly contrasting with that, we have ligaments. If cartilage is the smooth padding, ligaments are the heavy-duty binding straps. These are bands of dense, fibrous connective tissue, and their one and only job is to firmly hold bones together. They act like exceptionally strong fibrous tape, locking your joints securely in place. They're literally what keeps your skeleton from just collapsing into a pile of parts when you stand up. All right, Section 3, the axial skeleton system. The axial skeleton is the central pillar of your body, and we're going to move cleanly from the top of the skull straight down through the trunk. Starting at the very top, we have the skull, which is way more complex than just a single solid dome. Let's count it out. You have the cranium, or brain box, made of 8 interlocking bones protecting your brain. Your face alone is built from 14 individual skeletal bones. Deep inside your head, you've got 6 tiny ear ossicles, 3 in each ear. And I definitely want to single out one highly unique bone, the hyoid. It's this single horseshoe-shaped bone just kind of floating in your neck between the lower jaw and the sound box. Its specific, isolated job acting as a sturdy anchor to support your tongue. Let's pause for a second to highlight a truly incredible extreme in your anatomy. We just mentioned those ear ossicles. Well, those are officially the absolute smallest bones in the human body, tiny microstructures that transmit delicate sound waves from the air into your fluid-filled inner ear. Now, contrast those tiny specks with your massive femur, the thigh bone. That's the longest and heaviest bone you possess. Both are made of the exact same living calcium and collagen matrix, but they are perfectly specialized for totally different scales of work. It's wild to think about. Moving down from the skull, we hit the vertebral column, lying right in the mid-dorsal line of your neck and trunk. This central pillar is a complex stack of 33 individual vertebrae. To keep things neatly organized, biology divides these into 5 specific groups. You've got the cervical vertebrae up in your neck, the thoracic in your upper back, the heavy-duty lumbar in your lower back, followed by the sacrum, and finally the coccyx at the very base. Together, this segmented column acts as heavy-duty flexible armor, protecting the incredibly delicate nervous tissues of your spinal cord. Finishing up the central axis, we have the protective cage wrapped right around your chest, the rib cage and sternum. This cage protects vital, delicate organs like your heart and lungs, and it also provides the critical attachment points for the muscles that power your breathing. Anchoring this entire cage in the front mid-chest is the sternum, or breastbone, which is a narrow, elongated, flattened structure sitting just under the skin.
Now for Section 4, pectoral girdle and arms.
Having covered the central core, let's shift out to the appendicular skeleton, the limbs. The attachment point for your arms is called the pectoral girdle, and it's shockingly simple, consisting of just 4 bones total. You have a scapula or shoulder blade and a clavicle or collarbone on each side. Dropping down from the shoulder into the forearm, the structure actually splits into a dual bone system to give you rotational leverage. You have the radius and the ulna, 2 of each in the body, and they are exactly what give you that incredible twisting motion in your forearms.
Now, this is where the math gets absolutely wild, perfectly illustrating the sheer mechanical density of our hands. Just look at how these numbers jump. Between both of your wrists, you have 16 carpal bones. Your palms hold 10 metacarpals. And your fingers? They are made up of an astonishing 28 individual phalanges. Add all that up, and 54 of your 206 bones live just below your wrists. It is a literal masterpiece of microengineering.
Moving smoothly down to our final region, Section 5, the pelvic girdle and legs. We're shifting from the fine dexterity of the hands to the heavy, load-bearing lower foundation of your body. Let's check off the primary leg bones cleanly. We start with the heavy hitter we mentioned earlier, the 2 femurs, your massive thigh bones. Protecting the joint right below those are the 2 patellas, or kneecaps. Moving down to the lower leg, we have another dual bone setup. The tibia is your primary, thick, weight-bearing shin bone, and sitting right next to it laterally is the fibula, your secondary calf bone.
I want to spotlight another beautiful anatomical extreme right here in the lower leg. So earlier, we juxtaposed the massive femur against those tiny ear bones, right? Well, right next door to that heavy tibia is the fibula. And the fibula is officially the thinnest bone in the human body in proportion to its length. So literally, in your legs, you have the absolute longest bone functioning just inches away from the absolute thinnest bone, each doing exactly the specific mechanical job they were designed for.
Mirroring that dense microengineering we saw in the hands, let's calculate the feet. Your ankles contain 14 tarsal bones. The soles of your feet are constructed from 10 metatarsals. And your toes, just like your fingers, consist of 28 phalanges. That is 52 bones dedicated entirely to keeping you balanced, absorbing the shock of your steps, and propelling you forward every single day.
Okay, let's step back and see how this all builds together. We have methodically moved from the 8 bones at the cranium, down the 33 vertebrae of the spine, out through the 54 bones of the hands, and all the way down to the 52 bones in your feet. We've carefully isolated these parts, but bringing all 206 of them back together reveals the brilliantly engineered, unified whole. Bound by strong ligaments and cushioned by incredibly smooth cartilage, these living, calcium-rich organs are what give you your form. Which leads me to this final thought I want to leave you with. Your skeletal system isn't just some boring biological fact to memorize from a textbook. It's a dynamic, living machine constantly remodeling itself to support your life. So with 206 living components perfectly engineered to keep you moving, what will you build? Where will you walk? And what will you create with this incredible framework today? Thanks for exploring the architecture of us. Keep learning and keep moving.